Everyone, welcome back. So I decided maybe we should go back to a fog game, mostly because I miss fog, and you know, this map is Waffle Theory, and I was thinking, you know what, do my fans want to watch this? Let's ask them.
Yay!
All right, you got it. This is actually an older game, and this is actually one of my games that I've played, because there's not, to be honest, there's not many games on this map, but I like the map, so we're gonna go over it. All right, first things to note, it's not really reminiscent of like 2 base, 1 airport. It's kind of just all tucked away in this corner, and that kind of plays into it a bit. If you notice, there's this 1 inactive base, and that's normally not an issue. The thing that I don't love about it, but I understand it kind of adds a little bit of depth to it, is that it is exactly 3 tiles away from another base. So if you're like me, bases where you're not in a hurry to get out, tanks or whatever, are bases where you primarily just make infantry and send them to the front line. However, if you send it this way, it would land on another base, so you're actually reduced movement by 1. Now you could go the other way, but as you can see, it's like an additional 6 move. It's just not worth it to go the other way around. And then we got an airport tucked away. Probably most notably is the black boat here, you know, the big black boat, that whenever you see like a pre-made transport unit that's not just like bogged down, I'm always a fan because it adds a little depth as long as there's multiple ways to utilize it. So in this case, you notice all these bases are nothing but shoals. So that really opens up what you can do with this. However, the caveat here is that at some point you're going to want to refuel it. That means you're going to need this port down here. So you don't want to go too far from the base. You could, if you really wanted to, feed this side. However, it's probably better if you want to keep using it throughout the match, just keep going to the left. So we got this kind of like this area in the middle that's probably not great for fighting. So it's, yes, you can front switch here, but at the same time, you don't want to actively be taking battles on in here. As well as if you look at it, you have a city, you have forest, city, a forest just adjacent to it. So, and particularly because it's on the corner, not the side. What that means is if you try to go over and place anything on that city, you could be walking into artillery. Now, early on, that's probably not an issue. Later on, when you actually see more artillery pop up, that could actually be an issue. Same with the comm towers over here. Forest on this comm tower is going to be easy to defend from player 2, and this one's going to be easier to defend from player 1. Moving on. Where is it? We open up a reinforcement lines just to kind of see the pattern of how things are going to unfold. You have, keep in mind that this over here is going to be movement squares from this base and movement squares from this base. So this middle one is kind of the lesser of 2 evils, because if it goes this route around and up, it's going to be a full turn behind. But if you go left, you're going to be only 3 moves behind, so it's a little bit better off. Also, what I like about it is that because it opens up to the center, you can choose to go right or to go left from there. So what you could feasibly do is you could take both these bases and you could go left to it. Just go left. You could also take a bunch of the bases and go up to make this your strong side. In my mind, what's the strong-ish side and weakish side is based off of, also takes into account the reinforcement lines. So if we think of the fronts being over here and over here as being the sought after objectives on this map, and to credit, there probably are, because this is an area where you can actually fight. Boom. So when you get to the 3rd rank, what you end up seeing is that this comm tower is well within your 3 turns of reinforcement, but this one over here is going to be 1 move outside of that. So you could realistically go over and hit a unit on it, but it's not going to be super easy or convenient to get a unit on top of that afterwards. You don't want to just be sitting next to an open city. Basically, this one over here is going to be, in the long run, is probably going to be owned by player 1. This one is going to be owned by player 2. One thing to support that idea is if you look at these shoals, these are tiles where you typically don't want to take fights on. Same here. So it kind of plays into this. Having the stronger tile set is going to be for player 2. This one's probably for player 1, right? It's kind of lightly dictated towards player 1 having this one, player 2 having. So, but they're reasonably, here comes the thing. So if you just look at because you're not going to have tanks and stuff right away, if you just look at what the infantry are going to get, this one, which is supposedly yours, is going to take like 8 turns for an infantry to get to. Conversely, this one is going to take 5 turns to get onto. So it is completely possible, if your opponent is not beaming for the contested properties, that you could get both. It's not likely, but you could. One more thing. So if we look at the air support at the airport right there. So this line is 2 turns, this line is 3 turns. And just for comparison, here's the 2-turn reinforcement line. And what you end up seeing is that for 2 turns, it's pretty much, this is pretty much a whole turn behind in terms of air reinforcement. Whereas at least over here, you're just kind of a half turn behind. So if you're going to make air supports, you're probably not going to want to send them out this way. You're probably going to want to send them up. That's probably your best bang for the buck. And so with that, you can probably predict your opponent being his best chance to send them up himself, or send them down rather, that if you're going to build anti-air in preparation of that, because you're likely to get this early on, you're just going to send an anti-air over there. That's probably the best option you have. You could send it to the center, and that's not a horrible option, but keep in mind, this is a rather wide map, right? It's going to take several turns to try to cross that. So rather than, now you could, and what I end up doing is I build multiple anti-air. If you're going to start somewhere, start in this area with your anti-air. All right, lastly, CEO choice. This is a tier 2 matchup. And I don't really love any of the options, really, in this tier. Reason because, if we just look at Max, right? Max is an acceptable one on this map. I don't like him because Max typically likes very smaller, concise fronts, where he can consolidate his units, where all the units are basically like in one general area, where he can make the most effect out of his tanks, his plus damage. Olaf, on the other hand, yeah, he typically likes bigger maps, and the reason I chose him is purely because of the global damage and not having to worry about where my opponent is, because my opponent could have units speckled out throughout this entire region. And to maximize the damage I send to him, it doesn't help if they're all spread out evenly. For Max, it doesn't help me if that's the case. And not so much with the Eagle either. The downside of using Olaf here is that his superpower, basically making snow doesn't look like it's gonna be super effective here because there's just all these roads. There are so many roads, and snow really doesn't affect road. So, in fact, this is one of those maps where coal might actually be fairly good on this map. Because if you look at majority of the cities, they all have at least two roads right next to them, right? The only ones that don't really have, there's one city that doesn't, 2, 3, 4 cities that in like the actual fighting area that are you could actually push and probably take that don't have roads. Almost every other one has roads, and it's going to make it really easy to just not be bothered by the snow. I mean, air support's going to be bothered by the snow, but other than that, it's not so bad. So, also, just because this is a mirror, it wouldn't have affected us anyways. So it's just basically global damage at this point. And then there's Eagle. So Eagle is not... Well, you saw the air support, right? It's just turns behind, and it's not really great. That was the main reason I didn't choose Eagle, because there's that, as well as I don't have to worry about where my opponent is positioned. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So enough rambling. Let's get on with the match. As is, tradition, I always forget to turn off the visual settings because I am a professional. All right. So let's start. And I move my position here. The thought is that this guy's obviously going to go for this base, and then the next guy's going to get in here. One thing just to note, if I make a recon, a day 3 recon, it can get here usually before around the same time as the opponent can on day 5, and just harass this and deny the cap. Now, you can get this on day 4. What that means, though, is that you take this infantry and send him left, right? Don't send him to get the base. You just send him out there, and that gets you a turn earlier. However, you're intentionally not getting a base 1 turn earlier, and that's going to come to bite you in the butt. It's more important to get that base than get an extra 10%. So, especially if there's a recon there, it's just going to blow your guy out of the water. And then you have to skip all these to make it. It's just not worth it, in my opinion. Watch this, ladies, right here. Watch this. You see that? That's called being a dumbass. Yeah, I just completely forgot to even move this guy. So 1, I base lock myself. 2, I don't get this city a turn earlier. This is really like a dumb move on my part. I don't know. I just needed to pay more attention to the match, and maybe this is one of those times where I just had way too many games going to actually focus on a game. But I do think this is the best way to go about it, is to send as early as you can, send out units this way. My idea is that if I can capture this one, then I can go for this one, and if I'm feeling greedy, I can send this guy on the comm tower. Then that would be greedy, right? After I get 2, I should probably just hunker down on a force and just wait for my opponent to do something. But we're gonna see. Oopsie. Well, you saw my move. Okay, let's just redo it. So right here, make a boost. This boost isn't going to mean anything, you'll see. And I open with a tank instead of a recon. Recon probably would have been sufficient, but just didn't. So yeah, I boost, and then I still don't use the full movement. So whatever, I just felt like it. Just keep sending those guys out. I do need to hurry up and capture this port because I'm going to be running out of fuel soon on this. And that's kind of the issue, is like you do want to get the port, but in terms, you want to also get your units out here as fast as possible. This guy's just boosting, right? Yeah, so he's going to pick up this guy next turn. Trying to maximize my movement. And I do believe I go for the port first just because I need that up and running as soon as possible. Trying to remember why I built a battlecopter. I guess my thought was, in general, this little area down here is such a slog to get through. Not just for your tanks, but really for your infantry, because they only have 3 movement, it takes forever to get out. Really, just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It takes 2 turns just for them to even get out of this area. If you have a good base. If you're in this base, just forget about it. But I guess my thought process was this right here is going to be where I'm producing a lot of infantry. Use this to help shuttle them out. And then, of course, just keep trying to boost them. Because there's a lot of properties, and I just really want to get my infantry out there and capturing them. And nicely tuck away my tank. Because I'm going to go for this comm tower. I just want to make sure that I'm not surprised. If he goes on there first, I can just smack him off and not take any substantial damage. So I do decide to get greedy, and I start taking this. And at the end of the game, I'll go back with total vision. You can see why this works out in my favor. And then this, again, is just kind of like me being kind of overzealous. And the reasoning is because I know I have 2 vehicles, at least 3 vehicles. If I didn't build this, I could have an additional vehicle. And I don't see him. So me not seeing him, I'm assuming he's going to be down here, which is why I build this tank. And it's I'm being a little bit like weirded out because there's clearly something I'm not understanding. Yep, just keep boosting. Why? Because I just really wanted to keep boosting. Sometimes will it come down and even matter? No. But you do it because you want to. And I'm pretty sure I just built this copter just to use some money. I guess my thought process was, yeah, the copter's not going to be as efficient. But I think I just wanted something like a counter to another copter. I thought because you get the copter early, the airport early, sorry, that there's a good chance he might build a copter. And so I wanted a counter to that. At the same time, I didn't have a good tempo to just get out an anti-air. And although I'd have an anti-air, I still wanted force to go in and hit. So against what I said before, although you want to go up with it, and I think in the end I do go to this area, I'm going to push inward with this because, you know, reasons. I'm not going for it right away. I still just want the income. Income's important to me. And I'm actually surprised, really, that I got this comm tower. Because this one is the harder one to get. I still haven't gotten my comm tower yet. And I'm actually surprised I got that. So finally I can get this guy back and he can start capturing. Trying to capture this stuff now, because this one, I assumed if he was coming to this area, he would try to capture this. So this is probably clear for me to just come in and start capturing. Moving some of the infantry over here because I do need overall more force. And I do think this is my using both of these transports is really helping me even maintain a presence over here. That's one of the nice things about them is if you use them most effectively, you can get just pure numbers over here, which is super helpful. Especially early on when all you have are infantry. Even if he has a recon, he can't kill you all, right? So I do make anti-air, and I do make an artillery. My thought process is exactly kind of like what I would stated before. I do want this. My overall plan is to plop it right here. And, you know, just even if he tries to go for it, just keep defending it. And that's the first time I see my opponent. Oh, better ignore that. So one, I pull back because one, I really want the income early on. Two, I'm not sure I'm going to maintain this. I think he's going to do something, send some unit on there. I'm just waiting for him either recon out here or him saying an infantry cap. Then we're going to take a whack at it with this. Now, I don't really think I need to be on the HQ for this. I probably should just be over here if I had the option, just so I can get a little bit more movement. But, you know, what is done is done. And just more tanks, because you can never have too many tanks. So, yeah, this the first time I see a recon, I'm like, what took him so long to get here? It should not have taken that long. It should have taken like 4 turns. I'm just wondering what was he doing with that. What was he doing with this guy the entire time? And then he hits me with a tank, which is not bad. But little does he know. And there he goes. He starts to counter capture this. I have a decent amount of units, so I'm not particularly scared. I just hit him with the infantry. I don't want to reveal my tank yet because I really think he has some other vehicles out here and he's just not hitting with them. I think he's going to come out with those vehicles and hit me, and then I can hit him as my plan. And in the meantime, I still have options to try to clear off his infantry. Also, I'm starting to capture this. It's a risk because there's these 2 units over here. So the best bet is to just position and maintain my coverage. So my thought is, I guess maybe if he does decide to chase my tank, I have this. But then again, this is not really doing a great job. It's not really doing anything. It's just in case. I just didn't have the movement to get it where I really wanted. And more tanks come to the front line. Moving this guy center because apparently I still don't know what to do with him yet. But I'll figure it out. Just keep moving into another forest. Bunch more tanks and some vision. I really need the vision over here. Just more infantry. Just a load of infantry, man. There's an infantry in here. I can see that. See, there's another guy who sends there. He's going to try to capture it. And then he joint caps that. Oh, and this one where he gets caught. That's cute. It's one of the issues with taking so long to get there. But really, this recon should come in probably before you send your infantry, so you know you're not sending anything into a trap. And he's still contesting some things. And here I see the copter. The funny thing is, it's right there. So do I take a value trade? I have to assume for this to work out that 1, he doesn't have another copter, or 2, he just has an anti-air, because if he has an anti-air, I'm going to lose that trade. But am I willing to whisk it for the biscuit? Because I'm assuming this is his first copter, and because I'm making the assumption, if it's true, this works. I have the counter for his copter as this copter. This anti-air, I want to dislodge to maintain my presence. It's a huge risk, especially if he has tanks to do that. And if he has tanks, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Just finishing off his infantry around here. Because if he doesn't have infantry, he can't capture. I've still not revealed this tank. Take the shot off at this. And to make an anti-air for the north, because I don't know where this guy's going to go or if he has more. Realistically, this is going to break. I need to get more. It seems like he's going to be pushing on this front. That's just a guess at this point, though. I see his actual anti-air move over, so he's going to try to get this. I think in general, his anti-air should have been over here to begin with, because this is the better front for me to have air, so he should put it there, or at least have it in the center. Because apparently we both went to the center for reasons. Don't necessarily agree. And you can see he's bringing tanks over here. He's getting ready to rumble. He wants this comm tower. And then he just retreats, which he's not wrong. Except for this was probably not a great thing. Unless he tries to finish this off, but still he's wasting these guys. They're just gonna die for nothing. He's not gonna stop this cap, he's delaying it. He's wasting his units to delay that for a little bit. And I can see he's just pulling units away, which is probably not what you want to do in this situation. So this is just for vision, and I don't remember if I fight into this or not. See, I also pull back, just taking defensive positions, preparing for whatever comes. I still have not used this tank. He doesn't know this tank is here. And apparently I do fight into it for reasons. For some reason, I decide I really need this city. So I'm just going to threaten this city with my artillery and defend it with all my units. Now, there's probably a way in which he could actually break through and get a shot off at here. But even if he does that... Oh no, because I'm on a comm tower. If I wasn't on the comm tower, he might have a shot. But because I am, he doesn't really have a shot at getting in there. Yeah, he doesn't have a good way of wall breaking. And because he can see all these tanks, all these units, if he can't break it, it's not worth taking. He would need to pull away. But if he pulls away, he leaves that open for me, which catch-22. He's just screwing himself. Plus, can he see the copter? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can't see the copter, but the copter's there. He knows I have a copter that's mostly healed and is front shifting. And he gives up. It says draw, but really he timed out. I'm taking that as resignation. So let's go back and see it with his vision. Okay. I'm gonna say active player. Do we see him starting off? Of course he goes for that. And not only does he base skip here, he doesn't move this guy, which I think is a huge issue. It's like you want to use the transport. Use the transport. So I made my mistake, but okay, he makes his. He goes back over here right away, and unless you're going to open with the battlecopter, I don't think this is a great way to go about it. I think you build a guy. This guy should go over, capture this. This guy should go forward or over here, capturing a more forward property. Because once you go here, you have to double turn around and just go back again. Or this guy just one turn captures it, then starts capturing the next turn. Sure, it's delayed a little bit. Actually, you come up with the same amount because this guy is still capturing this turn. He's just capturing a different, more forward property, which then he can go more forward. This explains why I didn't see his presence over here, is because he's not really using this at all. And I think this is a huge error on his part. Because part of the issue is I was able to get so many units over here that he couldn't deal with them. And he opens with, so I've already started my second build, right? I built a tank first, then I built a recon. He just built a recon, so we want an extra turn. Oh wait, he built 2 recons. So he builds a day 3. Is that a day 3 or that's a day 4 recon? Day 4 recon, and I don't end up seeing it. Why don't I end up seeing it? He even sends it over here. Okay, so he tries to use 2 infantry out there. That's an effective use. 2 in a single move. But still, you could have gotten more over here if you were constantly using it. You're sending this guy kind of center. We'll see how this works out. I'll just skip my turn because you've already seen it. So he just moved it here so we can get vision of the comm tower. And is he just, I think he's just waiting for me to go for the comm tower. I don't think this is the right way to go, trying to deny my comm tower, because it's going to take a couple days for just me to get it. And to be honest, I'd rather get the income early on. And he starts right away with an anti-air. Not bad if you send it over here. The issue is I'm more likely, because of the current situation, I'm more likely to build tanks early on, especially because they're cheaper. I think you need more tanks to deal with me, right? Before you start building in anti-air. But that's just my opinion. If you're not getting the use out of the extra value of this thing, then mean anything. So here's why he couldn't stop my capture, right? His unit is too far away. This guy barely just can't hit me. If he decided to move any other position, like here, here, here. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, basically if he just was like 1 over, he could have gotten me. He decided to move a little bit, this guy a little bit over to the right for some reason, and that's what ends up screwing him. This guy really needs to contest this comm tower. My turn. I mean, I like what he's doing. He's making sure he's getting effective movement out of his unit. It's just, it's not over here. You want your unit, you want the presence over here more. And still, he just moves this guy down. He knows I'm on the comm tower. He just... Wait, how does he not all of a sudden know where I'm on? Oh, wait, I don't understand that. Can he not see that I'm on the comm tower? Maybe something's glitching out. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's right. A second ago, you could just see my guy was on the comm. Oh, well. But still, he's just making... He's not getting to the front line with his recon, which is where you need it. Especially early on. Just kind of tucking it away, and that's not going to help him in the long run. If it was a tank, maybe, but this is... you need to see what I'm doing and what's going on. If you can't see what I'm doing, why do you have a recon? Now this isn't like, this is still a noteworthy force about to come down on me. If I didn't have vehicles, that would have probably been a pain in the butt. Look at how long it's taken for a tank to get to the front line on him. Mine's guy's been sitting here now for a day or two. This guy's not been doing anything. You need to get your stuff to the front line. And then at this point, because most of the properties are starting to be captured, or they will be captured by these guys who are existing already on the front line, I don't feel the need so much to make sure that my infantry are on like closer bases. So yeah, I would rather have the tank get into the fight sooner. So I'd rather have the tank here, this guy here, and then that extra 3 movement to get 3 close to the front line. That would be very beneficial. One thing to note is, even though we actually have similar incomes right now, but that is likely to change. So he gets, yep, there he goes. He gets caught. He's starting to move this to this side, which again is not the ideal side. It's going to take too long to get there. You'd rather start pushing hard here, winning some material, winning some properties. You don't want to be resorting too many resources to a further away properties in comm tower. I just think he needs to push a little further, honestly. If he was going to do anything in here, he definitely needs to send the recon first. You want vision first before you do anything else, before you send your guys in. At this point where I'm starting to get a lead on income, and if he does nothing, I'm gonna have it. And I'm just kind of wailing on his infantry with my own infantry, being able to double team on them and take advantage on the properties. This whole side, I would say I'm winning on this front, is purely because I was making effective use of my transports. Because otherwise I would not have nearly this many units out here. I'd have them more sprinkled throughout. So this, because he's pushing hard on this front, I'm winning because I have this infantry and whatnot. So he goes, starts capturing this. And here's the thing, he has all his units behind this, so it's like he's trying to trap me. But the issue with trapping me is that this is this area I want to be in. You're in the area I don't want to be in. Unless I'm just being reckless, I'm not going to cross into this area. I'm just gonna build up my units in this little area right here. That's the best idea I can have. Similarly, although I'm in this area, dang it. Why am I keep doing it? Okay, there I go. So I kind of want to huddle out in this area. This is the area he doesn't really want to fight me too much in. However, I just want to be in here enough to fight this for this comm tower. That's the only thing that really makes it worth it. To fight for this and then come back out. Fight in, come back out. And because I can see his, because I already saw this, he knows I'm going to run for it. So in some situations, helicopter on helicopter is actually not a bad way to go in terms of having an answer for it. And he's making more, and he pulls back. And he pulls back a lot over here, which I get it. It's just he's kind of losing this front. And if he doesn't do anything to try to win over material, I'm just going to keep reinforcing. He needs some sort of like an artillery or something. Artillery on this map would not be bad, especially on your defensive property. So like on this front, dang it, I keep doing that. So on this front, artillery is good for me. On this front, artillery is good for you. But I keep making tanks because, you know, tanks are just, you know, they're tanks. Everyone loves tanks. I got pretty ballsy here. And the only reason I think is because I could figure out how to ball up my units right here and take a nice defensive engagement. Because this right here is not about me doing damage. It's about him trying to break me, but me being able to damage him in return. Because, yeah, he doesn't have any way of double shotting my tanks. He would have to use his tanks to break into my wall. And that's not good for him at all. Yeah. So that was Waffle Island. I really like this map. I would say if you really need to utilize your transports very effectively on this map to do any good. The main reason I did any sense of winning on this map is because early on I was making effective use of my transports, and they got to this area sooner and they were able to hold off. While over here, naturally I'm kind of going to win, because especially if I use a double base, I can win this over. Yeah, I hope you like that. Thanks for watching.